Covering just 3 hectares of rock, this is one of the smallest islands in France. This outcrop has become world famous thanks to the writer Alexandre Dumas. This is the enchanted island of You, standing off the coast of Marseille. It's here that the story of the Count of Monte Cristo began at the start of the 19th century after the fall of Napoleon.
Dantès stood up and looked to where the boat was being steered, and 100 meters ahead he saw the black and frightening shape of the rock upon which rises, like a superfoetation of flint, the sombre castle of You.
Built by King François I, the fortress was a prison from 1580 to 1871.
Here in this courtyard, there would have been as many as 300 inmates who only had this single water point to survive. When the Marquis of Vauban came in the 18th century, he said he didn't dare enter because the stench was so bad.
There were famous prisoners like the Count of Mirabeau, but mainly the detainees were Protestants and Republicans. Dumas' characters also left their mark.
Here we're in the famous cell of Edmond Dantès. When you were held in the castle of You, you no longer had an identity, you were just a number. Dantès was prisoner number 34, abandoned at the bottom of a cell. These were desperate times. During the Restoration period, there were no trials, and you could be arrested for anything.
When Dumas was writing, a fierce debate on prison conditions was already raging. The writer gives his leading man a powerful speech to deliver.
I ask what crime I have committed. I ask that I be given judges. I ask that my trial be enlightened. I ask that they shoot me if I'm guilty, but that I am released if I am innocent.
The adjacent cell belonged to the pioneer of hypnotism, the Abbot Faria.
So it really did happen. There was a monk that went mad here.
This opening in the wall didn't exist originally.
The prison guards at the time saw the success of the Count of Monte Cristo, and they decided to make this whole and name the 2 cells the cell of the Abbot Faria and Edmond Dantès. Alexandre Dumas would never have believed that his novel was so emulated, and that there's now a Monte Cristo tour in the castle.
Faria died in his cell, but Dantès escaped after 14 years behind bars. Other fictitious characters in French literature hail from more peaceful places, like Illiers-Combray, the town where Marcel Proust grew up. He would come here on holiday as a child to spend time with his Aunt Leonie.
We're entering Aunt Leonie's room. You have to imagine that she was bedridden.
She was the woman who gave Proust madeleine cakes soaked in tea. It was an episode he forgot in adulthood until one day
I raised to my lips a spoonful of the tea in which I had soaked a morsel of the cake. No sooner had the warm liquid and the crumbs with it touched my palate, a shudder ran through my whole body.
A flood of images and emotions overwhelmed him.
The room begins to take life. The village, the people of the village as he called them, the flowers, the landscapes. The whole work stems from this experience with the Madeleine.
And so begins the epic novel In Search of Lost Time. Each year, 5,000 literary pilgrims come to learn more about the author and dive into Proust's world. This is Swans Park, but its real name is the Pré Catelan.
I think it's a very soothing and refined place. You can imagine him here strolling with his family. You can really appreciate that this was a happy memory for him. It echoes the refinement of his writing.
More attentive readers will recognize this hawthorn-lined path, which is the setting for an unforgettable encounter between the young hero and Swann's daughter, Gilberte.
This is where it happened. He fell instantly in love with her beautiful black eyes and her red hair. It was very beautiful.
At Illiers-Combray and at the Castle of Eu, French literary legends were definitely born.